Weird game against the Sixers, but the Celtics get the win without a bunch of three-pointers, which means I get to take a victory lap about what Missoula ball really is. I'm going to do it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, Heat John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I got you covered every day, Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play Friday night against the Mavs. I'll give you a bonus podcast right there for you on Saturday, so make sure you're subscribed on whatever platform, whatever device you want to use. It's there. It's on YouTube. You can watch the show there. Hop into the comment section, become an everydayer. Join me every day on this podcast. It's fun. It's informative, if I do say so myself. I'm John Karalis. Used to play a long time ago. If you don't know me by now, or if you're new to the show, now I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. So I'm there. I'm in the locker room. I'm talking to the guys. I'm talking to the coach. So I get a little bit of inside knowledge about what this team is all about. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. The Boston Celtics beat the Philadelphia 76ers 117-99. It was a long and winding road to get to an 18-point win where the Sixers were held to less than 100 points. If I said before the game that the Celtics would win this game by 18 and they'd hold Philly under 100, I think everybody would be like, yeah, of course. Yeah, easy. But sign me up for that. Yet there was a 2-point game in the fourth quarter. Tyrese Maxey kind of keeping everything close and sitting there. You're like, oh man, the Celtics, they haven't popped off from three yet. They're getting a ton of free throws. They're getting to the rim. They're attacking. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do in a lot of ways, but not playing their normal kind of basketball and playing, I don't know. I don't want to say they were giving effort. I don't want to sit there and say like they came out and they weren't playing hard or anything like that. They were not playing down to Philly. That's not what happened early on. I think, and the guys were saying it after the game, Philly was playing and switching everything and aggressively taking away the three-pointers. And I think the Celtics were just kind of like confused a little bit by it. And it took them a little while to really kind of catch on and take advantage of what was happening, which, 2-point game at halftime turns into an 18-point win. That's kind of where you want it to be. You hold them to 24 points in each of the third and the fourth quarters. That's where you want it to be. But the up and down, the ebbs and flows, it was never fully comfortable. It was never fully like pulling away. I didn't think at any point they were at risk of losing this game, but they weren't going out and winning this game until it became a 2-point game in the fourth quarter. The Celtics whipped off a 16-0 run, and that was that. It all of a sudden 18-point lead, boom, and that was the end of it. So a weird game, not a typical Celtics game, which is actually okay. That's actually like Joe after the game was like, this is like the best game of the season. Not the best win, but the best game because they were defended differently. They had to win differently. They had to do different things. They learned a little bit about themselves. And I think it is indicative of where this team is, that they didn't force a single shot. I don't think okay, I shouldn't say that because in any game there's going to be one or two that they force, but they rarely forced anything. They rarely try to hammer home something that wasn't really there. They took advantage of things that presented themselves and they just rolled with it. And that's important. I think that's an important kind of mindset to have. It's important to be in that state of mind, because it's going to be like that in the playoffs. So again, the process of getting this win was good. And I'm so happy that we finally have a real example of Missoula ball that's not just a bunch of 3-pointers. After the game, you should have seen Tatum. I asked him about winning a game like this without having to make a bunch of 3-pointers. And there's a sheet, a box score on the table. And he's like, yeah, we shot 22 3-pointers. That's not like us. And then he continues on with his answer. But like, he was legitimately like shocked at only 22 3-pointers. And they only made what, 5 of those, 5 of 22, both season lows. 5 of 22. They took 52 2-pointers, and then they got to the line 37 times. So you can tack on a lot of those were two-shot fouls, not a lot of penalty free throws necessarily. So probably another 10 to 15 shots in there. So you can say 74, but it's really kind of like, we'll say 85, 86, 87 legitimately like would have been field goal attempts had they not been fouled. So the disparity between Philly's 94 shots and Boston's 74 shots, the free throw thing makes up for it. But regardless, I'm thrilled that the Celtics got a win. They put up plenty of points, 117 points. Let me just check their offensive rating, which 119.4. So per 100 possessions, it's 119.4. That's right in line. That's exactly where it's supposed to be. And they did it without taking a bunch of 3-pointers. So, and for those of you wondering, like, why do offensive rating when you've got the amount of points that they scored? It's because it's leveled off, right? Everything's measured per 100 possessions. So per 100 possessions, the Celtics 119.4 offensive rating. That's good. That's a really good offensive rating. So they did it without having to take, or without actually making a lot of threes. No one even made more than one for Boston. Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, Holiday, and Hauser all hit one. That's it. And really, it was Jayson Tatum's 1 for 7 that brought the entire percentage down, because, well, I shouldn't say that. Pritchard was 0 for 3. Horford was 0 for 2. White was 0 for 2. So that's wrong. I shouldn't have said it that way. Of the guys who made it, because Brown was 1 for 2, Porzingis was 1 for 2, Holiday 1 for 1, Hauser 1 for 2. Regardless, my point is, the point I want to make is that this is what Missoula ball is. This actually is what Missoula ball is. This is the Missoula ball without the dressing up with 3-pointers. This is what Missoula ball is designed to do. After the game, Joe said flat out, I don't love 3-pointers. I love great shots. The Celtics generally generate great shots, and they happen to be 3-pointers. I pulled up the stats for a piece I wrote on Boston Sports Journal. The Celtics average 42.3 3-point attempts per game. So let's just round it to 42. They take 42, every once in a while it's 42. Let's just say it's 42 3-point attempts per game. Well, according to NBA tracking data, 19 of those are wide open. That's a defender 6 feet or more away. That's 19 of those. 17 are considered open, so the defender's 4 to 6 feet away. That's still pretty open, right? So 17 open, 19 wide open, that's 36.4. So even if we say 36 of the 42, that leaves only 6 that are less than open. And those are all, the rest of those 6 are all like tight, 0 to 2 feet away. So contested 3-pointers. They take 6 contested 3-pointers a game. Every team takes contested 3-pointers. But the point is that Boston generates 36 open to wide open 3-pointers a night. So yeah, you take all of those. But this game, they didn't need it. I'll continue this whole thing about what Missoula ball really is because this is an absolute victory lap. I am taking it. I'm going to continue running that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is therapy, and it's therapy that eliminates 2 huge obstacles to getting started with therapy. The 2 biggest obstacles, in my opinion. Now, I've benefited from therapy, so I can tell you that talking to somebody, talking through some things can help you discover a lot about yourself, can help you feel better. But the first obstacle that's taken away is that you don't have to find somebody who's just close to you. The second obstacle that's taken away is you don't feel pressure to click with that one person because that person is close to you. All of this is done online. It's designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. So you find a licensed therapist, you fill out a questionnaire, you find a licensed therapist, you talk to that therapist. So immediately you're finding somebody, proximity doesn't matter. Then if you don't click because proximity doesn't matter, you just find that next licensed therapist and you can get through. So this is great. You can get stuff off your chest from trivial. You can go to, or it's not even trivial. It's something that might be bothering you that might not be as serious. Maybe something that's been hanging around for a long time. Whatever it is, whatever you want to do, get something off your chest, discover something about yourself. Go to betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. You get 10% off your first month. Again, if you're thinking about starting therapy, give it a try because it is flexible and suited to your schedule. BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. You get 10% off your first month. Today's show also brought to you by Stitch Fix. You know, speaking of like confidence, sometimes all you need is a fresh fit to walk out that door. You know, when everything fits just right, you look good. You get that little boost of confidence. So you can upgrade your wardrobe by going to stitchfix.com/lockedon. You get a stylist that you get your size, your style, your budget preferences. They send you 5 just for you pieces. You order the box when you want. You don't have to subscribe. You get outfit recommendations. You get pro styling advice. You keep up what works. You send back the rest. If you don't love it, send it back. Shipping, returns, exchanges are all completely free. You don't have to go out and go to a mall, go to an outlet store, go to wherever. You don't have to, shop online and pick and try it on at home and send it back. You get all of your stuff sized out, everything. They send just the right pieces. It fits on point, and they have like this style ESP. They just get you. They figure it out. Stitchfix.com/lockedon. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Stitchfix.com/lockedon. That's stitchfix.com/lockedon. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On Sports today. It's not only the first ever 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, it's now available on Amazon Fire TV, the free Fire TV channels app. So go check it out. 24/7 coverage of the top stories of the day with local experts from the Locked On Podcast Network, national shows. Locked On Celtics shows up every once in a while. Find Locked On Sports today on YouTube and on the free Fire TV channels app. So, yeah, I'm going to continue this victory lap because what have I been saying? And you can tell your friends about this when people say Missoula ball is just 3-pointers. Jayson Tatum, after the game, said that he never told us to shoot 44 threes a night. It's all about taking the right shots, respecting each other's space. He said we usually do a good job of finding the advantage, getting behind the defense, and collapse We have a team full of shooters, so we stay spaced. When they collapse, it's 2 on the ball. There's a 2-on-1 somewhere. 2-on-1 is more than 2+1. That's what Missoula ball is. 2-on-1 versus 2+1. It's not the 3. It's not the 3-pointer. It's the 2-on-1. And where is the advantage? Again, the Celtics generate 36 wide open to open 3-pointers a night. That's why they take so many. And then you have a few contested ones because Jayson, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown are going to take a few because they're that good. But it's not about let's get 44 3-pointers up. It's about what's the best shot. And in this game, we finally saw a team that decided to not only go small for most of the game, that didn't have much of a rim protector, that decided to sell out and take away the 3-pointers. That's what we saw in this game. And the Celtics took advantage of that and just kept going to the rim. The hierarchy in NBA desired shots is uncontested, open layups and dunks. Free throws are second. Open threes are third, right? So the 3-pointers, the corner 3-pointers especially. Layups and dunks, free throws, and then the 3-pointers. Well, the layups and dunks were there all night. The Celtics took advantage of it all night long. And the Sixers never stopped it. They never stopped it. So they kept going to it. And they got to the line over and over and over again. It was mostly 3 guys. It was Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis. Jaylen Brown, 31 points, 11 of 14 shooting. Monster game from Jaylen Brown. Just attack. Get to the rim, get to the free throw line. He was 8 of 10 from the line. Jayson Tatum, 29 points, 9 of 20 shooting, 1 of 7 from 3. Okay, he took a bunch of threes. He didn't make them. But he was 8 of 13 from 2, 10 of 11 from the line. 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 assists shy of a triple-double. Monster game from him, attacking like crazy. Kristaps Porzingis, 23 points. Now, 5 of 12 shooting. He probably could have gone to the line more than the 12 times that he went. He finishes with 23 points, 12 rebounds. So those 3 guys combined for 83 of the 117 points, and they combined for 33 of the 37 free throws. The only other people, for a team that took 37 free throws, the only other people that take free throws was Luke Cornett took 2, Derek White took 2, and that's it. So it was Brown, Tatum, Porzingis. A stretch early where Jaylen Brown, second quarter, went nuts and got to the line a bunch. Porzingis was getting his mismatches, picked on DeAnthony Melton, picked on a couple other guys, got to the free throw line. Then Jayson Tatum, especially in the fourth quarter, did a lot of his damage at the free throw line. Fourth quarter, Jayson Tatum, 15 points in that 16-0 stretch and beyond. He just took over and said, you know what? We're done. We're done with this. We're done with Philly hanging around. He had 15 points, got to the line 7 times. So it was the 3-headed monster, the star power, where the Celtics really did a lot of their damage. You got a decent night from Drew Holiday offensively, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He had a stretch there in the third quarter when the Celtics came out of halftime. They were up 2. Then the third quarter, they went on this big run to start the third quarter. Holiday was a big part of that. Derek White, not much offensively for him, just 6 points, but he had 6 rebounds and 6 assists. So triple sixes for him. But great defense, 3 block shots, 2 steals, just a monster defensive night. For a guy with 6 points, he was a plus 31. So White he wasn't the guy that got all of the points. It's like every night they pick names out of a hat, or the Simpsons, where you draw the black egg to figure out who's the designated driver. When Barney ends up being the designated driver, it's like Derek White reaches into the pickled egg jar and comes out and he's got the black egg. Oh, sorry, buddy. You're going to have to play all the defense tonight. You don't get to score. The rest of us are going to go have some fun. So But that's fine with Derek White. Like, he's going to go out there and make an all defensive team. So just a really underrated great game from Derek White, who was all over the place defensively. Not much from the bench outside of Al Horford. The bench did not have its best night, but the Celtics, look, however weirdly you need to get to this win, it doesn't matter. I compared it to getting lost and somehow finding your way. You're supposed to be somewhere at 8:00. You leave your house. It's an hour drive, and you leave your house and just completely get lost and have no clue where you're going. You've been driving for an hour. You somehow taken a turn. You don't know where the hell you are. And then all of a sudden, 58 minutes later, it spits you out somehow right where you're supposed to be. That's what this game was. It didn't feel great for most of it. It just felt a little off. You weren't sure what was going on. People were getting annoyed. Maybe somebody was in the in the passenger seat snipping at you. But then right there at 7:58, you show up at the building and you're like, I don't know how the hell I got here, but I got here and I got time to like stretch my legs before I walk in. That's where the Celtics got to. I don't know how the hell they got to 117 points without making more than 5 3-pointers, but they got there. I do know how they got there. They got a ton of free throws. Basically, here's the formula. I say that jokingly, but the formula for the Celtics to get there is pretty simple. The Celtics were outscored by 27 points at the 3-point line. They made up by 23 of those at the free throw line, so that's a 4-point deficit. They won the points in the paint by 22 points in the paint minus the 4-point deficit from before. That's your 18-point win. That's how they did it. Attacking and free throws. That's how they did it. But it didn't fit my analogy there. Anyway, standings watch is next because interesting stuff happened, and just a fun little stat here about the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'll talk about that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. I normally would be hosting on this fine Tuesday into Wednesday, but Celtics played. So Jake Madison's got to fill in for me. I know it's going to be a great host. I don't even know who it is, but I know it's going to be great because we've got great hosts all week long. Everybody who does that show is having fun. It's a good show. So go check out Locked On NBA wherever you get this podcast. All right. So not much more to say about this. The Philly was depleted, and they tried what they could defensively. The Celtics sniffed it out. Eventually, they got where they needed to go. Boom, done. They win 9 games in a row is the final tally here. And the Celtics remain 7.5 games up on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were on their way to a loss to the Mavericks, who the Celtics are playing next on Friday night. I will have that post-game podcast, bonus podcast, so make sure you're subscribed. You can also listen to that game on SiriusXM, Grandy and Max. If you don't want to listen to the ESPN broadcast, Grandy and Max, pop on their audio, match it up, all that good stuff. The Mavs look like they had the game won. Max Strus hits the buzzer beater and beats them. And the Cavaliers sitting there in second place 7.5 games behind the Celtics. Boston's 46-12. The Cavaliers are 38-19. On January 2nd, the Cavs were 18-15. They were 8 games behind Boston, tied for 7th. And it looked like, I remember, because I picked the Cavs to be potentially the 2nd seed in the East before the season started. And they started off slow. And I was like, oh, man, that prediction is not looking so good. It looks good now, though. So the Celtics, at that point, led the East. They led the Cavs by 8. Since January 2nd, the Cavs have now gone 20-4. 20-4. They've gone from 7th to 2nd in the East, and they are 7.5 games behind the Boston Celtics. They have only gained a half game because Boston is 20-5 over that stretch. They've played one more game since January 2nd. Boston has played one more game, and they lost that one game. So Cleveland, having gone 20-4, an amazing run, has only picked up half a game on the Celtics. So the Celtics are 46-12. That's 58 games left. So what's that? It's 24 games to go. And the Cavs are 57. So that's 25 games left to go. So for them, if the Celtics can get to, I think the Celtics magic number gets them to 64. So what's that? 17 is the magic number now for Boston. It's amazing that the Celtics continue to have this lead. It's almost like the reverse of what happened last year with the Bucks. Remember last year, the Celtics had the top seed and the Bucks just came charging hard, and Boston kind of relaxed and lost. They could never get it back because Milwaukee just kept on winning. That's kind of what's happening to the Cavaliers in a way. Not that they lost anything, but they're making this big run. They can't catch the Celtics because the Celtics keep on winning. So it's a unique situation. It's an interesting stat for the Cavaliers. Let's take a quick look at what they've got up next. They're in a back-to-back. Oh, so they play Chicago. So they will level off. So we'll see if they lose this game in February, this last game of February 28th here, the Chicago Bulls game Wednesday night. If they lose to Chicago on the back-to-back, which is possible, then they will also go 20-5, which means they will have made this big, hard charge up the standings and will have gained no ground on the Celtics. That would be an amazing kind of stat if that's kind of rooting now for Chicago. Probably should be rooting for Chicago anyway because it puts more distance between the Celtics and the Cavs. But how wild would it be that for 2 months the Cavs would go 20-5 and gain no ground on the top seed? That would be amazing. So let's see how that goes. The rest of the standings, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Celtics have basically wrapped up the East. It's an 8.5 point lead again, 8.5 game lead on the Bucks, 11.5 on the Knicks. So it's impossible. It's almost impossible at this point for the Knicks to catch Boston, especially. And now the Celtics have that tiebreaker over the Knicks after that win. So you can't even catch them. You have to pass them. That's an 11. They're an 11 game difference, 11.5 game difference here with 24 to go. The Celtics would have to completely collapse. So I'm not tempting fate. I'm knocking on wood. I'm knocking on my wooden dome. It's just, what are you going to say? Celtics are in a good spot. So the Celtics beat the Sixers. Sixers are now 6th. They are a half game ahead of Orlando. The Sixers are probably going to fall into the play-in tournament. And Joel Embiid is a month away. their free fall continues. There is a possibility here that the Sixers can fall and Embiid can come back, but they cannot get out of the play-in tournament, which means the Sixers could be Boston's first-round opponent. That exists. That possibility exists. Keep that in the back of your mind. Keep that tucked away for, later on. We'll revisit that if it gets there. But just keep that in mind that Joel Embiid, after a month off for meniscus surgery, would potentially come back and have a couple of weeks before the playoffs start. And I don't know. What does that mean? Would he be ready? Would he be 100%? Would he be winded? Would he be? I have no idea what to expect at that point. I don't think he would be at his best. But if we're looking forward, if we're looking ahead to what's next, way down the road, Philly dropping and like Indy jumping or Orlando jumping into the top 6, it's not out of the question. It's not out of the question. Philly becoming a first-round opponent. Ooh, boy, things get a little juicy there if that's the case. That could be a fun little path. Philly first round, maybe New York in the second round, Milwaukee in the third round. Ooh, that would be a spicy little path to the NBA Finals. Long way to go before then. I will, of course, have everything covered here on the Locked On Celtics podcast. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. The show goes Monday through Friday every week. Bonus podcasts when they play, like this Friday night game against the Mavs. I will give you a bonus podcast after that. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. Hop into the comment section. Let me know what you think about what I'm saying, about what the Celtics are doing, and share the podcast. Spread the word. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.